Welcome back to another episode. It's been a minute. I didn't forget about you. I just took care of myself. With that being said, let's take a step into where I've been with my mind, body, and soul. I invite you to grab a piece of paper, a journal, a notebook, your phone, a tablet, anything you can write down 3 goals on that you've been talking about. I'm going to give you a minute or so. Alright, so now that you've written these 3 goals down, I want you to ask yourself something. Are you taking action to get each one of those goals closer to the finish line? Be honest with yourself. The reason I'm asking you is just simple. I want you to be really honest with yourself. Are you just talking about the life you want, or are you actively building the life you want? Listen to what I said. Are you just talking about the life you want, or are you actively building the life you want? Because there's a difference between saying this is what I want for my life and actually waking up every day and doing something that brings you closer to it. You can talk about the dream. You can visualize the dream. You can write down the dream. But eventually, you have to walk the walk. So look at those 3 goals again and ask yourself, what have I actually done to move each one forward? Because the life you keep talking about requires the version of you who is willing to build it. Now that you've taken that moment to really look at your goals and ask yourself whether you're actually taking action, I want to bring this conversation back to me for a moment. Because you might be wondering, okay, Mr. M, why are you talking to me about this? And honestly, that's a fair question. I'm not talking to you about this because I have a perfect life. I'm not talking to you about this because I've accomplished every goal I've ever written down. I'm talking about it because I've had to learn what it means to actually move. There have been moments in my life when I talked about the person I wanted to become long before I was actually doing the work required to become the person he was. I had goals, I had dreams, I had ideas, I had visions of where I wanted my life to go. But wanting something and building something are 2 completely different things. I had to experience that difference firsthand. I've had to learn what it means to protect my energy, to take care of my mind, my body, my soul, to close doors that needed to stay closed, to let go of people, habits, versions of myself that couldn't come with me, and eventually to rebrand not just how the world saw me, but how I saw myself. That's what brought me to this episode, because I'm in a season of my life where I'm not interested in just talking about the life I want anymore. I want to build it. I'm sharing this experience, and everything I'm sharing with you today comes from that experience. I'm sharing this because I know what it feels like to have a vision, but not know how to turn that vision into a movement. I know what it feels like to say, one day. And I also know what happens when you finally decide one day is today. So before I tell you what a wealthy mind and a rich thought mindset is, or what it means to me, I want to tell you what it took me to realize that the first investment I had to make wasn't money. It was in myself. I healed the past, but I had to meet the present. Over the past 7 months, I wasn't hiding, I was processing, and I knew that I couldn't come online and teach people about healing while I was actively trying to figure out what healing looked like for me in real time. Life started being, well, life, right? Life was lifing. And well, because life doesn't just stop because you're working on yourself. And that's probably the hardest part of the evolution or the change or the movement or the working on yourself, because you're working on all of this because you're trying to be better or do better for yourself, and life doesn't stop. There's still experiences you're going to be living while you're trying to fix or trying to meet with the present self of you, version of yourself. The past versions of you become the teachers for the present of you. So for me, my childhood taught me how I survived. Yet my teenage self taught me what I needed to heal, and the young adult taught me what happens when I don't. Present me had to take all of those lessons and actually apply them. So I had to sit with myself and ask the question I asked you today. Was, I can talk the talk, but can I walk the walk? I realized that healing wasn't just about understanding what happened to me. It was about what I chose to do with what happened to me. I had spent years learning the language of healing. Now I had to learn how to live my healing. And that's probably where I was stumped. That's probably what I didn't understand. I was always preaching that I was healed, that I did the work, but yeah, I did the work. Now, how did I apply the lessons to my day-to-day present self, right? You cannot build a wealthy life with a rich mindset with an unhealed relationship to yourself. So, yeah, you might go back and do the work like myself and heal, but if you can't look at your present self and say, I choose to be healed with everything that I've done the work for, and you still have an internal battle, then are we really healed? And that's where I was at. This is how I develop my pillars on which I live by, to be honest. But we've spoken about them in the past 4 episodes, and I always say to protect your energy, pillar number 1. My pillar number 2 is nurture your mind, body, and soul. Pillar number 4 is lock the door that needs to stay closed. And finally, your 4th pillar is always going to be to rebrand and create, whether it's for how you're viewed or how you view yourself. These are the 4 things in life that you always want to carry with yourself, and ask yourself, am I doing this actively to meet the present version of myself? And these are the things that I had to learn and live by. So with that being said, I like to turn over into what this all got started. And it's our 3-minute meditation moment. If you recall in the past episodes, after unloading or talking or teaching or blabbing, however you want to call it, we take the time to sit with our thoughts and really connect with what the message has been with today. So let's take a moment to breathe and recenter and understand what we've been talking about, and simply sit in our minds to think, what are the next steps so that we could start walking the walk and not just talking the talk. So if you're ready, breathe with me. Let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath. With each breath, reflect on your goals. Think about what has brought you to them. Breathe in. Think about where they're taking you. And out. And take a moment to just recenter yourself. Alright, let's come back. I know those are never 3 minutes, but are you really going to sit here 3 minutes and breathe with me? I invite you to pause this video and continue breathing if you need more time. So, and just like that, that 3-minute meditation moment is over. So let's just take one last breath together. Ready? Push out hard. And when you're ready, I want you to go back to those 3 goals that you wrote down for me at the beginning of this episode. And I want you to look at them differently now. Not as things you hope to happen, not as things you'll get around to do one day. Look at them as the things that you've decided to take action towards. Because this is what I've learned over these past 7 months. You can spend years talking about the person you want to become. You can talk about the healing. You can talk about the success. You can talk about the boundaries you're setting. You can talk about changing your life day in, day out. Right? But eventually, you have to live it. You have to walk the walk. Because words are nothing without action. And walking the walk doesn't mean you have to have everything figured out. It doesn't mean you won't get tired. It doesn't mean you won't fall off track. It means when you recognize you've stepped away from yourself, you choose to come back. That's what I had to learn. I didn't need to become a completely different person. I needed to take everything about the different versions of me had taught me and finally use those lessons to take care of the person that was standing here today. The present me. The present me. And maybe that's where you are too. Maybe you've spent enough time thinking about what happened. Maybe you've spent enough time talking about what you want. Maybe you've spent enough time waiting for the perfect moment. So I'm leaving you with one question today. What are you going to do next? Not tomorrow, not someday, next. Because a wealthy mind isn't just about money. It's about what you believe you're worthy of. It's about what you protect. It's about what you nurture. It's about what you have the courage to close the door on. And it's about what you're willing to create once you've made room for something new. That's a wealthy mind. Those are rich thoughts. And that's the work. So take your 3 goals and pick one. And before you go to sleep tonight, take one action towards it. Not 10, not 20, not 5, not 3. Just one. Because sometimes the biggest transformation doesn't begin with a massive move. Sometimes it begins with just one decision. I'm not just going to talk about it anymore. I'm going to do something about it now. Thank you for giving me the space to come back and share with you where I have been, what I've learned, and what I'm still learning. I didn't come back because I have all the answers. I came back because I'm still becoming. And if you're becoming too, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, protect your energy, take care of your mind, body, and soul. Lock the door when the old version of you tries to come back in. And then rebrand, create, and build the life you've been talking about. This is Mr. M, and this is a reminder, don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. Peace and love. Go forth and bless.